My sister threatened to have me kicked out if I didn't leave her room at 3 a.m. until one day she reached out to me with a secret. My parents adored me until I was 9 and diagnosed with high-functioning autism. My parents thought they were too lenient on me, so they increased their penalties. Sarah, my elder sister, defended me for years. She sneaked me food at night when my parents served me 25% of what I should eat. She would hug me as I wept when my parents yelled at me to battle the autism. I only avoided suicide most days because of her. She abandoned me when I was 16 and she was 17. When I entered her room at 3 a.m. to talk, she threatened to ask our dad to kick me out if I didn't leave. Sometimes I was overstimulated and rubbed my thumb with my cheek. Sarah usually sat with me and held my hand. She hurried to inform our parents I was doing it again, knowing they'd punish me. After that, I lived like a heartless zombie. I was disconnected daily. When I came back to reality, I forced myself to zone out again because I wanted to finish school and move out. Especially since Sarah wouldn't leave soon. Thank goodness my parents did anything for me. They covered my college costs. They demanded it. I suppose they wanted me gone. I didn't care since a victory is a win. Time for my second dorm night. I got the text then. It was Sarah. Don't reply to this. Please pick me up and drive me to your dorm at 5 p.m. on Saturday. Don't tell our parents. I'm sorry. I love you. I trembled before the text. She wanted to hang out. She wanted to be my sister again. That night I couldn't sleep. My mind kept replaying memories like a record. Even when I thought of Sarah laughing at me getting wailed on or telling my parents to drive autism out of me faster, I felt something. I felt grateful because Sarah attempted to give me a childhood. It seemed I owed her. On Sunday I drove her. She said go faster upon entering. She then hid on the back seat floor and refused to talk to me until we were at the hostel. At last she broke down. I calmed her during her anxiety episode, like she did for me years ago. After 45 minutes, she spoke. I never meant to hurt you, Emily. I swear I thought she was pranking me, but then she told me something so shocking I felt like throwing up. Do you remember my 17th birthday? She asked, voice shaking. I nodded. My dad had driven me to a field miles away and left me there until the day was over so I wouldn't ruin the day with my autism. Well, she said. Dad. Her eyes filled with tears. My stomach fell. He took my first time. I grasped her head and rubbed her back. Our dad had snatched her innocence. I'm sorry. Sorry, she repeated. He said talking to you would make me ugly because your autism would rub off. If he caught me, he'd do it to you too. It all made sense, and I felt guilty for ever disliking my sister. Our mom knew, but she didn't care. I asked if they knew where she was, and she shrugged. This was good because my dorm was far from campus and they didn't know where I lived. I told her I loved her and would keep her safe. She didn't know it, but I was going to make our parents pay for everything. The next morning, Sarah shook me and had wild eyes. Emily, Tom texted me. Mom and Dad are saying I'm mentally sick and made everything up. I checked my messages and saw Tom had texted me too. Family is being enlisted to find her. What's happening? My stomach sank. They were monsters, but they understood how to play the worried parent card. What do we do? Sarah wondered, pacing the small dorm room. What if people believe them? I pondered. Remember the evidence? They say what they want, but we have proof. Sarah started pacing, biting on her thumbnail as we did as kids, and Dad was in a bad mood. They're going to find me, she murmured. They'll track my phone or something. I held her shoulders. They're not. You're secure, I swear. I didn't tell her my anxieties to avoid stressing her out. Don't trust everything you hear, I texted Tom. Sarah's safe. It was too unsafe to let even well-meaning family members know where we were. So Sarah and I missed our customary dining hall excursion that day. I went to the convenience store near campus and bought sandwiches and snacks. When I returned, Sarah had pushed my desk in front of the door just in case, she said. We spent the day jumping at every hallway noise. Sarah would freeze like a deer in headlights when footsteps approached our door, but it was always other students going about their day. We were exhausted from being on alert by evening, so I suggested we binge-watch a stupid comedy show on my laptop. For a few hours, things almost felt normal, and Sarah even laughed. Around midnight, my phone buzzed with an email notification. Someone replied to one of our anonymous messages from my burner account. I opened it expecting the worst, but it was from Dad's company. They needed a victim statement for an internal investigation. I showed Sarah. Sarah stared at the screen for a long time. If I tell them everything, it becomes real. Like officially real. It happened and he deserves consequences. Sarah nodded slowly. I'll do it. But I need a day to write it all down to figure out what to say. The next day, Sarah spent hours typing on my laptop. I sat nearby working on assignments I'd fallen behind on. Sometimes she'd ask me if I remembered details, dates, or incidents. I helped as much as I could, but some of the worst had happened when I wasn't around. While she worked, I checked our parents' social media. Rachel had posted a tearful plea for anyone who had seen Sarah to contact them immediately. Her post claimed Sarah was sick and needed medical attention. Dozens of sympathetic comments, prayers, and shares made me sick. The same woman who watched her husband abuse her daughters for years was now playing the devastated mother, and people bought it. Sarah finished her account that night and asked me to read it before sending it. It was detailed, specific, and heartbreaking. She described John's sexual assault on her birthday and years of inappropriate touching, comments, and behavior. She anxiously inquired whether I should take anything out. I held her tightly. It's your tale. She chose to send it all, connected to a reply email with some of our proof and sent to HR. Then Sarah closed the laptop and snuggled up on my bed, emotionally exhausted. The next morning the company thanked us for the information and assured us it would be handled with the utmost seriousness and confidentiality. They also stated they had a legal obligation to report certain types of abuse to authorities, which panicked Sarah. I didn't want that. Hey, calm down, I said, trying to sound more confident than I felt. They probably just have to say that for liability reasons, and even if they report it, the police would need to find us first. This calmed her, but she was still on edge. We decided to be extra careful. I asked my friend Lily to bring us food instead of going to the dining hall or convenience store. She had been texting me all week asking where I was, but I only told her I was dealing with family stuff. When I called and asked if she could bring us groceries, she immediately agreed. Are you in trouble? The dinner was delivered, and she looked at Sarah, who was hiding in the restroom. It's complicated, I responded. I'll explain later. I swear. Please don't tell anyone I'm here, or that my sister is here. Lily nodded, frightened. Whatever you need, just let me know if I can help. After she left, Sarah came out of the bathroom. Can we trust her? I nodded. Lily's solid. She won't say anything. That weekend, John's company sent us another email. They had fired him immediately and thanked us for coming forward. Sarah and I high-fived when we read it. It felt like the first real win, but that day, I got a voicemail from a number I didn't recognize. When I played it, I nearly dropped my phone. It was John. Emily, I know you have Sarah with you. This little game you two are playing has gone too far. Your lies cost me my job and your mother is devastated. If you don't bring Sarah home by Monday, we'll report her missing. Think about what you're doing. His voice was calm and reasonable, like he used to talk to neighbors and teachers. It had fooled everyone for years. But something else terrified me. He seemed sure of our location, not guessing or trying to trick us. I deleted the message without telling Sarah, but I was shaken. Filing a missing persons report might lead the police to find Sarah. That night, after Sarah fell asleep, I called the campus legal aid office and pretended to be asking for a friend whose younger sister was being abused at home. The law student who answered explained that in our state, a minor could petition for emancipation under certain circumstances. I told Sarah about emancipation the next morning, and she seemed interested but scared. Would I have to go to court? Would I have to see them? Maybe, I said. But you'd have a lawyer and all our evidence. She thought about it all day and decided to do it that evening. You're not alone, I reminded her. I'm right here. The next day we went to the legal aid office together. Sarah had not left the dorm in over a week. She wore a hoodie pulled low over her face and kept looking around nervously as we walked across campus. David, a patient and kind law student, explained the emancipation process to Sarah. She had to prove she could support herself financially, had a place to live, and that emancipation was in her best interest due to the abuse. Are you employed or have savings? Sarah shrugged. David asked if grandparents, aunts, and uncles could help. Most of our extended family had sided with our parents in the past, but now, after everything we'd revealed, maybe, I said. Our aunt in Colorado always suspected something was wrong. She sent us money cards that our parents held for us. Never saw a dime of that money, Sarah murmured. David suggested we contact this aunt to see if she'd assist and gather further proof, such as medical records of injuries and school reports of behavioral abnormalities. I nodded, but I was distracted by a car that looked like John's in the campus parking lot. It was probably nothing, lots of people had silver Hondas. But it put me on edge. After returning to the dorm, there was a note taped to our door. My heart nearly stopped, thinking it was from our parents who had found us, but it was from my RA reminding everyone about the fire drill. Sarah immediately went to my laptop and started searching for Aunt Jessica's contact information. Found her? Rachel had a major argument with her at Thanksgiving when I was 12. She's on Facebook, Sarah said after 20 minutes of research. We sent a careful message asking if we might phone her concerning a family problem and waited. The response came faster than expected. Aunt Jessica answered and left her number within an hour. Call any time, I've been worried about you ladies for years. Sarah and I gazed at one another. Had Aunt Jessica known? Had she attempted to assist but been rejected by our parents? I placed the phone on speaker with quivering hands. Hello. Aunt Jessica's warm, deep voice sounded like I recalled. That's Emily. Sarah is here too. Girls. My gosh. Are you okay? I've seen some unusual posts from your mother. We alternated recounting the abuse, Sarah's escape, and our liberation plan. Aunt Jessica listened without interrupting, occasionally making little distress noises. After a lengthy quiet, she spoke with emotion. How you both cringed when your father yelled. Emily, you were slender. How your mother changed the subject when I asked too many questions. She inhaled. I attempted to report it once, after Thanksgiving, called CPS. But they stated they couldn't do anything without evidence. Your parents must have assured them everything was all right. I felt grateful to this woman who helped us when no one else would. Will you aid Sarah's emancipation? I questioned. She needs financial support on paper. Of course I will, Aunt Jessica answered confidently. I want to do more. I wish to house Sarah. I have extra space. She could graduate high school in Colorado without this. Sarah's eyes widened. Really? You do? A heartbeat, Aunt Jessica said. Emily too during breaks. Sarah was ecstatic after the conversation. For the first time since this nightmare began, I felt like we may have a future with genuine people who cared about us. Did that just happen? Is there an exit? I agreed, smiling at her enthusiasm. It looks good, but we still have work to do. Emancipation may take months. I don't care, Sarah responded. Just knowing there's an end in sight, it changes everything. Friday, we returned to legal assistance. David helped us start the emancipation papers, and Aunt Jessica joined by phone to sign an affidavit promising to house and support Sarah. Things were looking great until I opened my email that night and saw my academic advisor's note. Urgent academic probation warning. I'd missed so many classes and assignments that I was in danger of failing the semester. If I didn't get back on track, I could lose my scholarship and have to move back home. I stared at the email in horror. How had I forgotten about this? I'd been so focused on helping Sarah that I'd neglected my own situation. What's wrong? Sarah inquired, seeing my frown, and I gave her the email. I can't stay here without my scholarship. I can't stay here either, Sarah added. Not until the emancipation goes through. We sat silently, weighing this new predicament. You have to go back to class, Sarah remarked. I'll be fine here alone. No way, I spat. What if they find you? They may attempt to take you back. They don't know which dorm you're in, she said. And I won't answer the door for anyone but you. I didn't like it, but she was correct. I had to save my academic standing, so I reluctantly returned to class the next morning. After spending so much time in the dorm, it was strange to be around other students again. Everyone was talking about parties, assignments, and relationship drama, but it seemed trivial compared to Sarah and I. When I told my professors about my family emergency, most gave me extensions on missed assignments. By the end of the day, I felt like I could catch up. When I returned to the dorm, Sarah was fine, as promised. She'd spent the day researching emancipation cases and making lists of evidence. Look at this, she said, giving me her notebook. I put down every big occurrence I can remember with dates when possible. I found my old journals, which may assist. I was impressed by her organization. Very helpful. I smiled at approval. I realized how rarely she must have heard positive feedback growing up. Our parents had only ever criticized, never encouraged. I went to class and worked on assignments while Sarah stayed in the dorm preparing her case and communicating with Aunt Jessica and David. In the evenings we swapped notes and planned our next steps. Rachel's email arrived at my student email address, which I hadn't checked in a while. The subject line was, "Please read." I opened it against my better judgment. Emily, I don't know what lies your sister has been telling you, but your father and I are worried sick. Sarah needs aid. Professional aid. She's always had issues. You know. Remember when she made up stories for attention? Very similar, but worse. Your father is horrified by these claims. After everything we've done for you both, how could you believe such horrible things about him? Emily, we funded your college. We provided everything. We can forget this if you bring Sarah home. Nobody will get mad. Family unity is what we seek. Emily, please do the right thing. I read it 3 times, feeling ill each time. The manipulation was so clear without them. I gave Sarah the email. Her hands trembled as she read it. She's lying, Sarah muttered. You know she's lying, right? Of course I know, I said. What happened? I saw what they did to us, Sarah acknowledged, but she was uneasy all day. The next morning, Sarah was seated at my desk, looking at the laptop screen. What are you doing? I asked, groggy from sleep. Mom contacted me too, she replied bluntly. She claims stress is causing Dad's heart issues. It'll be my fault if he dies. I got out of bed and stared at the laptop. Rachel had written me an even more deceitful email. Don't listen to her, I insisted. Dad's heart is okay. They're pressuring you to return. Sarah nodded uncertainly. What if he's sick? What if he's not? I stopped her. Even if he was, it wouldn't be your fault. Sarah, none of this is your fault. She closed the laptop and massaged her eyes. I know. Logically, I know. I only have them in my brain. They made me feel responsible for everything for years. I understood what she meant and sometimes thought that if I'd been better, tried more, or been less autistic, they wouldn't have mistreated us. We need to block their emails, I said. They're just trying to mess with our heads. Sarah agreed, and we spent the morning filtering their communications into a folder not visible to us. I met with my academic advisor that afternoon. He was worried about my absences but seemed okay with my plan to catch up. Sarah texted me as I left his office. Someone's knocking on the door, not answering. Immediately texted back, good, keep it closed. On my way. My pulse raced as I rushed across campus. Had they discovered us? How? The dorm hallway was deserted when I arrived. I opened the door and saw Sarah pallid on the bed. They knocked for like 5 minutes, said. Then they slipped this under the door. I unfolded the folded paper, fearing the worst, and it was from the RA mandatory floor meeting tonight at 8 o'clock. Unknowingly, I exhaled. It's dorm stuff. No worries. Sarah nodded but seemed worried. I thought it was them. I believed they found me. I joined her on the bed. A student ID is required to pass the front desk, even if they know my dorm. You're safe. I knew. She rested on my shoulder. My fear persists. I knew that emotion well since I'd lived in terror of my parents' next punishment for years. I attended the floor meeting that evening while Sarah kept locked in the room. It was just the normal dorm announcements about quiet hours, planned activities, and a recent burglary. Nothing essential. Sarah was on the phone with Aunt Jessica about moving to Colorado when I returned. They discussed local schools, activities Sarah would like, and other topics. It was good to hear Sarah sound enthused about the future. After she hung up, I caught up on homework while Sarah organized her evidence. I got an SMS from an unknown number almost midnight. I know where you are both. This concludes. I gazed at the message, my blood freezing. Only John would send anything like that. Sarah blanched as I showed it. He got your new number how? He knows where we are, how? Shaking my head, I tried to think, he's faking. He must be. He couldn't know which dorm we're in, but I wasn't sure as I said it. John was always adept at manipulating us. What if he traced Sarah's phone? He may have been searching the school for us. We need to leave, Sarah replied, taking her backpack. Right now. Wait, I murmured, attempting to relax. Let's think. If we panic and run, we may be in danger. This dorm is secure. Not just anybody can take you. Sarah wasn't persuaded. What if cops are called? What if they report me missing and cops search? She had a point. If the cops got involved, things would become messy fast. Okay, I responded. Call David from legal aid. See his advice. It was late, but it was an emergency. Thankfully, David answered. I carefully explained. David began. Don't answer the text. If it's your dad, engaging merely confirms location. What if he knows where we are? Sarah asks. Even if he did, David said. He can't legally compel Sarah to go without police. Show the police your proof if they become involved. The abuse, threats, everything. But I don't want to talk to the police, Sarah objected. David answered, I understand. But I'll be there with you if necessary. You won't confront them alone. After hanging up, Sarah calmed down. So, we stay put. I nodded. But let's be ready. We spent the next hour assembling our most crucial documents and proof, making sure everything was easily accessible if we needed to leave fast. In the morning, no more threatening messages or unannounced guests. Maybe John was kidding after all. But as I got ready for class, my phone called. An unknown number. I paused, then answered. My stomach fell as John said, Hello, Emily. I'm on campus. We must discuss. I informed Sarah on campus. He's here, and hung up. I held Sarah's shoulders as she hyperventilated. Our building is unknown to him. Dorms number in the dozens. We're okay. Nodding to regulate her respiration. We do what? I'll call Lily and ask to stay at her apartment for a few days, I thought immediately. When I phoned, Lily immediately agreed. She lived off campus in a small apartment with her roommate Sophie. It wasn't ideal, but it would be safer than the dorm if John was searching the school. We packed only the essentials and our evidence and waited until most students were in class to make a run for it. We made it to Lily's apartment without incident. She and Sophie were in class, but Lily had left a key under the mat as promised. After locking the door, we sank on the couch, tired from tension. Will they arrest him? Sarah abruptly asked. Shrugged. Unsure. Maybe. We jumped at every sound outside at Lily's all day. When she returned home from class, she saw our faces and realized something was wrong. Okay, she whispered between us. I think it's time you told me what's really going on. We explained. Not everything, but enough for her to understand why we were hiding. Lily listened without interrupting, her face growing more frightened with each revelation. She said, Jesus, after we finished. Of course you can stay here as long as you need, and if anyone comes looking for you, I've never seen you in my life. Her instant support made me cry. Thank you. We sat up late chatting that night, feeling uncomfortable but glad to share our experiences. Lily and Sophie were kind and helpful, providing practical advice and emotional support. For the first time in weeks, I felt that Aunt Jessica, David, Lily, and Sophie may support us against our parents. David called the next morning. Your father was detained, his company's report and your evidence were used by the police. I glanced at Sarah in disbelief. Arrested? Really? Yes, David said. Multiple counts, including child sexual assault. The bail hearing is tomorrow. What does that imply for us? Sarah asks. There's an official police inquiry, so your father can't get near you. A temporary restraining order is automatic. Sarah cried after hanging up. It's unbelievable. I feared no one would trust us. I grabbed her tightly. People believe us, and John will pay for his actions. David called the next day concerning John's bail hearing. The court ordered bail at $200,000. Your mother is collecting the money, but it may take a while. He's still jailed? Sarah inquired, hopeful. For now, sure, David said. The restraining order remains even if he makes bond. He can't approach you. That was comforting. I still didn't trust John to obey court instructions. Sarah didn't either, as she checked the locks many times before bed. John was in jail for a week, unable to post bail. Rachel had been phoning family for loans, but few were willing. Sarah's emancipation hearing was in a week, and David was certain it would be granted, especially given John's criminal accusations. Once approved, Sarah could legally go to Colorado with Aunt Jessica. Things were looking good, but then the next blow came. I received an SMS from Sarah in class. Rachel is outside the dorm, crying and causing trouble. Despite my professor's confusion, I gathered my stuff and rushed across campus, praying Sarah had shut the door. I arrived to the dorm to find a small throng outside. My mother was in the center, crying about her ill daughter who needed to come home. Campus security was attempting to calm her down. I pushed through the crowd, furious. Why are you here? Rachel turned to me, her expression instantly changing from distress to manipulation. Thank God, Emily. Help me get your sister. Her health is poor. She must return home so I can care for her. She performed well, but I knew better. Sarah has a restraining order against you, I said. You're not supposed to be anywhere near her. Rachel's face stiffened briefly before tears returned. It's a misunderstanding. Dad never injured anyone. Sarah is confused and lying. Stop it. I spoke out. Everyone now knows the truth. In prison, John. No more. We were separated by campus security. Ma'am, we're going to have to ask you to leave university property, a cop told Rachel. If you have a restraining order against you, being here could result in your arrest. Rachel told me, this isn't over, before letting security take her away. I ran to the dorm room where Sarah was shivering on my bed. Is she gone? She inquired when I entered. Yeah. Security took her away. At her side I said, are you okay? I could see she was shaken as she nodded. She screamed my name, saying I needed to come home and was sick and confused. Some filmed with their phones. Excellent. Precisely what we needed. Campus virality of Rachel's performance. She can't hurt you, I said. Your emancipation court is next week and the restraining order protects you. You'll be free from them legally afterward. Sarah breathed deeply. I know. Only seeing her that way. That woman was persuasive. What if people trust her? I told her. They won't. But I wasn't convinced. Rachel was always wonderful at playing the victim. That night, Rachel's breakdown videos went viral on school social media. Most comments called Rachel insane and rude, but a few questioned her claims. Sarah's confusion or mental illness made my fury boil. After everything we'd been through, some people still trusted our abusers. The next day, the dean of students emailed me to come to her office. My stomach dropped. Was I in trouble for Rachel's scene? But Dean Patterson was unexpectedly empathetic. I've been updated on your position, she added. The institution supports you and your sister. Security will watch for your parents and we will make academic accommodations if needed. I almost sobbed with relief. Thanks. That's significant. Of course, she answered politely. No student should face what you're facing. Do you need anything more from us now? Thought about it. Yes. My roommate will return from her boyfriend's house. Sarah's recuperation has benefited from privacy. Can we have a single room? Dean Patterson nods. I think we can. I'll check availability. We were approved to move to a small single room in a calmer dorm by the end of the day. It wasn't much bigger than our existing place, but it would be ours. No roommate to explain things to or work around. Sarah's emancipation hearing day arrived. Sarah donned a borrowed shirt from Lily, and I wore my only non-jeans pants. David seemed confident as we arrived at the courts. Everything's in order, he said. With the criminal charges against your father and the restraining order already in place, I don't foresee any issues. Rachel, Sarah's legal guardian, was allowed to attend this court hearing despite the restraining order. She dressed modestly and politely like she was going to church. Sarah bruised my hand with her pressure. She'll try to stop it, she muttered. She can try, I muttered, but she won't succeed. The meeting was surprisingly fast. The court read the papers and asked Sarah about her high school goals and living arrangements. Aunt Jessica testified via video chat that she would offer housing and assistance. Rachel rose up, blotting her tears with a tissue to speak. She said, Your Honor, my daughter is a difficult kid who has been influenced by her sister. My husband is innocent of these claims. Sarah has always experienced emotional issues. Mrs. the Judge interrupted Thompson. I examined the police reports and TRO. Your husband is now in detention for serious child abuse allegations. Is the police and district attorney also manipulated? Rachel faltered. No, but... Furthermore, the court said, Sarah's instructors reported trauma-related behavioral changes. I trust Sarah's evidence and medical records of injuries. Rachel grew stern. She lied. They both are. Over his spectacles, the judge viewed her. Mrs. Thompson, think hard about your stance. Denying recorded abuse might hurt you in court. That silenced her. The judge announced his ruling after a few more inquiries. Emancipation benefits Sarah. Petitions approved, effective immediately. Sarah cried alongside me, happy tears. She was legally free from our parents. Rachel approached us outside the courthouse. Sarah, please. Your error is dreadful. We were separated by David. Mrs. Daughter has a restraining order against Thompson. I recommend staying away. Rachel's face twisted with anger. This isn't over, she growled, as she had outside the dorm. You'll regret this, both of you. Her threats were empty now that Sarah was free and John was in jail. We celebrated with pizza and ice cream in our new dorm room. Sarah couldn't stop smiling. she said. I still can't believe it. I'm actually free. You're free, I said. And in 3 weeks you'll be in Colorado with Aunt Jessica, starting your new life. Sarah smiled hesitantly. I'm going to miss you. I'll miss you too, I said. We'll chat often, and I'll visit during breaks. Promise? She looked like the young girl who sneaked into my room when we were kids when she requested. Promise, I said strongly. The following 3 weeks whizzed by. Sarah packed her few belongings and we made plans for her trip to Colorado. Aunt Jessica had already enrolled her in the local high school and set up her bedroom. Detective Parker updated us on the case against John, which was progressing with more charges. Rachel was now under investigation for child endangerment and failure to report abuse. Sarah and I gazed at the letter sent from our old dorm to our new one the day before Sarah's trip. Rachel's handwriting was clear. Shall we open it? She inquired. I said. Might as well see what lies she's telling now. Only one page of paper was inside. No tears or manipulation this time, just a brief message. You wrecked this family. Father is broken. You lied and cost me everything. I hope your work pleases you. Never contact us again. After reading twice, Sarah gave it to me. Does she still not understand? They ruined the family. Not us. I nodded, crumpling the letter and throwing it away. Some people never take responsibility, but we're free of them. I drove Sarah to the airport the next day and we embraced long at security. Thank you, she muttered. For believing me, for helping me, for everything. I embraced her harder. Sisters do that. Protecting each other. As I watched her go through security, I felt sorry that we'd wasted so many years to fear and abuse and hopeful that we might both improve our lives. On the drive back to campus, I thought about everything we'd been through. Years of abuse, fear, pain, but also the strength we'd found, the people who'd helped us, and the justice that was finally being served. Our parents had tried to break us, but they failed. Sarah and I had survived. I drove into campus parking feeling lighter than in years. Classes, friends, a life, and a sister who, despite everything, I'd saved, just like she saved me, filled my future. As I got out of the car, the crisp fall air touched my face, and I breathed deeply, appreciating freedom. For the first time, I wasn't terrified, hiding, or pretending to be someone else to escape punishment. I could be Emily, autism and all. As I returned to my dorm, I noticed the vibrant red and orange leaves crunching beneath my feet, the sound of students laughing in the distance, and the smell of campus cafe coffee. Simple pleasures that had been overshadowed by fear for so long. Sarah texted me. Past security. Boarding shortly. Have missed you. I responded back, smiling. Miss you too. Call me when you land. That night I sat alone in our dorm room, my dorm room now, and felt a strange mix of emotions. Relief that Sarah was safe and on her way to a better life. Pride that we'd stood up to our parents and won. Sadness for all the years we'd lost. But mostly, I felt hope. Hope for Sarah's future in Colorado and my future in college. Hope that the worst was past. I opened my laptop and started writing a psychology class essay on resilience to overcome trauma and hardship. I smiled at the irony since Sarah and I knew about resilience. I understood as I write that our narrative went beyond abuse. It was about finding our voices, recognizing our worth, and understanding that wonderful people exist to aid us. It was about two sisters who remained in love despite challenges.